It's Fandy. Alright, so today a lot of you guys also have been wondering, what am I doing here? Why is my face with the blue polo shirt, the beige background? Right, so today you are going to be so amazed, so renounced, so astounded the fact that there are just about new coffees in town. We are talking about coffees. We are talking about roasted beans. We are talking about personal experiences from consuming these coffees. Right. Coffees in general are mainly known as the tool to wake you up. Does that make any sense? Because it woke me up a lot of times whenever I consume just about the acceptable amount of caffeine per day. Right. Because whenever I wake up in the morning, the only thing that I have in my mind at that very moment is exactly coffee. Coffee plays the role to wake me up. Okay, it plays the role to make sure I stay awake, at the same time make me feel as if like I already got my day together, although it's only 8 in the morning. So exactly how is coffee beneficial? Well, we're not going to jump into that yet. Let me tell you exactly how I discovered coffee throughout my whole entire life. It was around when I was 15 years old when I realized that coffee did not only come in the form of sachets, or mostly people call it that 3-in-1 or 2-in-1. It does not come in the form of an instant coffee either. Right, I thought that instant coffee like this is exactly just that. That is coffee. But to tell you, I was just so naive. My knowledge was so shallow that I only realized that coffee actually comes from a bean. So when coffee came from a bean, they first have to make sure it's washed, make sure it's clean, then they have to roast it. So the prior to that, it's not really actually a coffee bean. It's just some plant or some seeds, you would call that. You would then later have to wash it, then you will have to later then to roast it. The roasting part, it's when the coffee aroma exists. It's like that smell you wake up in the morning where you just know that's the smell of your scent, or the smell of your room, the smell of your perfume, or anyone that came across by you, you'd be like, that person smells good. Well, technically coffee does that too. Coffee, on the other hand, is mainly to make sure that when there's energy to be born inside your body, coffee will provide more of that. It's like a supplement of energy for your body as well. Okay, so exactly what I'm going to tell you here today is that, would you be wondering if Nescafe is going to produce a new type of coffee? Well, as you have seen in the market, they have so many flavors. We're talking about mocha, hazelnut, original, latte, cappuccino, just on Nescafe brands alone. And they have also the premium one called the Nescafe Gold. Well, technically, that's Nescafe. Nescafe has been, that company has been so famous throughout my whole entire life that I first bought my instant coffee from Nescafe itself. Meaning that when I grew up knowing that Nescafe produces instant coffee, I thought that is coffee. That's basically how I learned to know what coffee really was back then. But then, in that one particular day, well, I was actually just I was trying to make my coffee. So I was putting into the sachet, into the cup, pouring hot water, I was stirring it. Came a person passing by. He was like, "Is that what you call coffee, sir?" And I'm like, "It does smells like one. It sure does taste like one. So exactly, is it not coffee?" And he was like, in my hand, I'm holding a cold brew. And I was like, a cold brew? You were supposed to brew it, but then it's cold. And then my coffee was hot, it was piping hot, but his was cold. So I was just still stirring the cup. As I was stirring it, I even took a sip. It was actually, if I'm not mistaken, a mocha Nescafe. And I was taking a sip. And then he was like, he opened up his bottle and he just chugged it down. I had no idea how his coffee taste was taste like, but then I sure do know that mine tastes milky and chocolatey, a bit of nut-ish. Yeah, it has a lot of flavors for Nescafe. But then he was like, if you prefer that type of coffee, meaning that he was talking about my instant coffee, he was like, You should have tried mine. So he gave me a bit of his in a smaller cup, paper behind me somewhere. Then I took it and he poured some of his into that cup. I gave it a taste. After having that first impression of what cold brew is like, I was mind blown. I was literally mind blown to the fact that I had no idea how come his coffee, the same color, it's called coffee, but tastes a little bit different. You see, coffee bean for some reason has its own class of categories, which I thought only Nescafe knows that. But no, apparently his was basically homemade cold brew. He made it by himself. So I was just that shocked to know that even a normal people like me can actually make coffee at home without having to buy the instant one. Only then I realized the word instant meant that I don't have to waste that much of time in brewing the coffee, filtering the coffee, or roasting the coffee. I skip all that process just to have a good cup of joe. Technically, he does not get to do that. So yes, coffee for a lot of people could mean different things. It could also mean different to you. The coffee that was meant to me was instant. It was ready on the go. You just pour hot water and and it's done. His took a little bit of passion. If you do not understand those type of passion, you'd be like, is this guy for sure he knows what he's doing? Because it sure looked like it's a lot of work to do just to get a cup of coffee. Well, that is passion. The kind of passion that grow the community of coffee lovers to the max. I'm talking about there's so many other types of brewing coffee, ways of doing it, ways of brewing it. Up to the point where I don't even know until I realized and I actually learned from someone about this. There's the siphon method, there's the filtering method, there's the cold brewing method. There's so many methods of coffee in which I have no idea about. All I thought it was to drink a coffee, you just have to pour hot water. Clearly, it's not entirely that. So basically, after he gave me a little bit of sip, I then took a sip of it. Then I gave it a little of like a dip. You see, like what happens if I dip like a biscuits or bread? So I actually took a piece of bread, dipped in it. It tastes just normal, like normal coffee. Like, I don't know how you would say normal, but in my definition of normal is that it tastes like coffee. It smells like coffee. It tastes like one. So what makes it so different is the fact that he uses a different type of bean. The one with robust, the one with Arabica. I have no idea in my sachets of Nescafe what type of bean there is. All I know is that it just turns my cup into a little brown chocolatey feeling like, and it's coffee for the sake all I know. So then when he taught me all this, I was absorbing it only to realize that at that moment, I just discovered something new in my life, something totally different. Only then I realized that if you are a coffee lover, you would know best for yourself what type of coffee fits you. You see, not every type of coffee fits you. You may think everything does. But have you tried coffee with ginseng? Have you tried coffee with, of course, chocolate mocha? Have you tried coffee with 3 layers of milk, sugar syrups, all that? You see, my types of preference, I prefer my coffee to be a little bit less sweet, at the same time milky. It's a bit hard to do that because a lot of milk nowadays contains sugars already. So what I would have to do is add water. But if I add water, I would then dilute the taste of coffee. That's a fact. But that will not happen if you brew it on your own. The coffee type that you have to grind it, then put it onto the filter, then you have to pour hot water on it, and inside that filter cone, and you just have to wait for it to drip, 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 drip. It doesn't have to happen that for him, because he could control those measurements. You see, an instant coffee means that you're able to make coffee on the go, and then it's done. Right, so basically, if you were given a choice to really learn how to brew coffee, what types of coffee there are in the world, do not hesitate, because I'm right here. What I'm doing is to make sure that you know best for what you want for your coffee. Because if you don't, technically that's not the whole point of this video though, because the whole point of this video is trying to make you know, or to have you acknowledge the fact that the brand Nescafe is not the only company that produces instant coffee. I'm talking about here we have Aichong coffee mix. I don't know if you can see it clearly. Okay, and then here we have, oh, it's not coffee, but this one is coffee. It's day 9 coffee mix. This one we have super, but it's white coffee with hazelnut essence. Okay, so technically all these types of instant coffee, which one is the best, or which one is the one that you would prefer to choose for? Well, you would first have to experience it from like one by one. Okay, like literally, when I first step into this type of field, trying to acknowledge myself exactly how many types of coffee there are in the world, I actually taste one by one to the point where my throat gets so numb to these bitterness, to these no sugar at all, no milk at all. I just keep on, testing all these types of beans and all that. But I did all that for you, for the sake of you, to make sure that you don't have to suffer through what I have to suffer. I mean, like, you now have the chance to buy instant coffee with my credibility in letting you know that this type of coffee will fit you very well. Why? Because I love the fact that there's a coffee mug come along with instant coffee sachets. You see, back then when you have to buy coffee, they don't really produce these mugs because, like, it's a little bit costly back then. But then nowadays, to make sure that people stays aboard with the marketing plan and scheme of these coffee companies, they now produce you with mugs and coffee mugs. You see, a normal mug is for hot, but a coffee mug is for the cold one. So which one is your favorite? Because mine would be the cold one. As always, it's always the cold one. Okay, so technically, we're just gonna straight jump into this. I'm pretty sure you've heard enough exactly how I come to the experience of, learning about coffees, knowing more about it, and then making myself sure about what type of coffee that I'll be choosing. Just like I said, I've already gone through all the suffrage for you, so that you don't have to go through what I have to go through. Okay, tasting the coffee, retesting it again, putting it on your tongue, make sure it's coffee for sake it's not burnt or anything. I've done all that just for you. So what you have to know now is this: if your types of coffee consist of milk, sugar, and a little bit of light coffee beans, or should we say, light coffee beans, and in addition to that, you want it to be quick and you want it to be convenient. Let me tell you why. This right here is what we call Café21. It's newly established in the market. Okay, you see there, right there, Café21. I am not 21 years old. Okay, I'm glad. I'm 23 years old. It's a 2-in-1 instant coffee, meaning that it has a creamer and a coffee mix. Okay, meaning that there's less sugar inside. So if you're really not into sugar so much, this fits perfectly for you, because it does perfectly for me. Like I said, you have coffee, and then you have sachets inside. There are 25 in it. Why? Because if you drink for 30 days straight, you may not drink coffee at all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because technically 25 sticks, because actually I meant it. You only get to drink once per day, meaning that 25 sachet, 25 days. I'm just kidding. But yes, 25 sachets in this big bag, and you know what come along with it? Let me just put it right there real quick. A Café21 glass mug. You see, like I told you, I love cold coffee. So when I do know for the fact that I gotta make that coffee hot and then pour it inside and then pour hot water, it just blew my mind, because I'm like, that's what I want. I don't want to drink hot coffee. It's boring. So they gave me this mug with like measurements inside to know that how many sachets there are that you can put inside, and meaning that type of measurement for one sachet only, you get to put water up to that part, for 2 sachets up here, so it would taste better. I was mind blown knowing to the fact that Café21 actually produces these type of cups to make sure that you don't have to go grab a cup inside your cupboard in the kitchen just so that you can brew Café21. No, you don't have to do that anymore. Okay, maybe Nescafe does that, but I'm not gonna say anything about it because this is not a paid review. But I'm going to tell you this though: Café21 gives gives you a mug with like an insulator, whereby it's, you know, it's just so comfortable to hold on to. And not only that, it comes with a lid. The lid fits so perfectly, whereby that you don't have to worry about coffee slipping. And it's just amazing because like you could just like drink it and just drink it, you know. And they have like nice messages like "Have a nice day." Cafe 21 never disappoints me.